Are you there, Jerry?
I have him as muted.
No, he's coming. He's coming online here.
I'm here.
Since you're the only member of the public here, do you have any specific questions for the team? It's me, you know me. Marie is here. She's the basin planner. Sue Greenall is the NRCD director for the Ottauquechee and Black. Kathy is here from the Connecticut River Conservancy. Todd is here from the Rivers program. Okemo Valley TV is recording. Since you're the only member of the public, let's talk to you. What are your questions and concerns about the Ottauquechee and Black River valleys?
I guess on the Ottauquechee, I'm mainly concerned about the time schedule and at what phases will we have various types of information.
Okay, well, I'm going to share my screen and I'll just go to that slide and show it to you as soon as I can find my share screen dot. Where is it? Oh, there it is. I should know this by now. And just let me know that you can see it, please.
We can see it.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go out of here and go straight to that slide. And I'm glad to show you any of these slides. So this is the schedule for creating this plan. So, you know, there's been a lot of preliminary work done. So we're here in conducting the first phase of public meetings. So I'm just about to start drafting this new plan. The monitoring has been done. The assessment of that data has been done. And now I'm in the phase of taking that data and starting to put together what the plan needs to say and what the strategies and projects we want to be listing. So these meetings here are to gather that information from the public. So I'm doing these mostly in May now, and I'll probably end up stretching that into June. And then, so I'm trying to find out what folks want me to have in this plan, what concerns they see out on the landscape that they would like addressed. And if they have project ideas, I'm all ears. And then over the summer, I'll do the writing of that plan, get it all drafted together with the goal of coming back to the public in late summer, early fall, to get that final level of, did I get it right? With the hope of being done with the plan by the end of the year. Is that what you're thinking? Is that what you were asking, I should say?
That sounds good. That's what I was looking for.
Okay. And just so you know, I'll put this out there. So any of this information, and it will be including this presentation once I do one that gets fully recorded, we'll put this out, and I'll probably put it as a PDF on the website as well. And you can, you know, find all the information there. There's already a story map with quite a bit of this same information in it. And on that page as well is a survey that people can take to give feedback that way. So if you want to get that out there, and really all you have to do is Google VTANR Basin 10, and it'll come up right to this page with all this information on it. The thing that even the partners probably don't know is that we're also doing stormwater master plans in Woodstock and Windsor, and this is underway now. And the consultants for that plan development have put together surveys as well. And I have these two links for stormwater projects, concerns, ideas from the public that will go into that process. So anyone from Windsor and Woodstock can also take these surveys. Or, you know, even if you know Windsor and Woodstock well, you can take these surveys. So my survey on the Basin 10 plan and these two surveys are also available on the Basin 10 website.
Yeah, Sage just told me about the Woodstock one. I didn't know they were doing that now for stormwater master plans. That's cool. And Jerry, feel free to, I mean, I know you live in Barnard, but all of us in the Ottauquechee Valley use, like, Woodstock is our, you know, home base. So
yeah,
we have a right to take the survey too.
Absolutely.
Marie, could you put those links in the chat for the, actually, I should ask.
Yeah, I can, we can send those out again.
Okay,
I mean,
yes.
And they did go out to a bunch of people, but I will, when Marie does her presentation to our board, we'll put those out there again.
Okay, I tried clicking on them, it didn't work for me. Thank you.
You clicked on them where?
He was just trying to click on the presentation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he can't click on them there.
And I'll put them, I haven't put, this just got going and I didn't even think to put them in this presentation until a couple hours ago. So I stuck them in here and I will put them, I guess what I'll do is I can also put them, well, they're already on the Basin 10 website. So you can click on them there.
Yeah, that's probably the best spot on the Basin 10 website because that's where the other survey is too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I put all three surveys together. Is there anything else? I'll point this out for Jerry that, you know, we have a bunch of different ways for folks to really look at the projects that we've already identified. And we have this thing called the Clean Water Project Explorer, which again, you can just Google or get to from the ANR website. And if you put in, you know, you pick your basin, which is Black Ottauquechee, it's going to pull up every project that we have identified in our database so far. And if you click on one of the buttons, it tells you just what that project is. And this is interactive. You can zoom in and out and see where these projects are. The color codes are what kind of project they are. So if anyone is interested in looking at, you know, maybe there's a project on your land, they can really look at that and zoom in. And basically we're looking for people who want to play in our sandbox. So all these are already identified and we're going to add to it with this basin plan.
What kind of material will you have available to send out before our board meeting?
We can, sorry. Yeah, we can send, she's already done this, so we can send a copy of this. We can send a copy of like the link to the Basin 10 page so people can go there and do the survey and see that. That can be in the board packet. I'm not sure if we want to put the whole presentation in there, but we can put some of the summary pieces in. Maybe the schedule. That's because you asked about that. That's a good idea. And a couple other, Marie and I can put our heads together on that. Just kind of the quick highlights from her thing so people can see that ahead of time.
Are you still seeing my screen?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because my orange border has disappeared. I didn't think we could. Anything else you want to talk about, Jerry? I mean, I can run through these.
No, I feel like I've heard this preliminary presentation before, so I just wanted to see if you had any update.
No, there's nothing strikingly new.
Okay.
You know, we like I said, we've updated the data, but nothing drastic has changed. Things are still better in other parts than they are in Killington and White River, you know, those kind of things. But no, there's nothing very new that's going on. I'll be, you know, showing a few of the projects that we've done just to give people an idea about what to think about. You know, we've actually done some pretty good projects.
Have you ever collected ice storm damages to the basin?
We don't do that. Our forestry division does collect that data when it happens. So they're the keepers of that.
Is that germane to what you're trying to accomplish?
Not so much. It, you know, our angle on forest, on the forested landscape is to keep it. You know, we just need to keep as much of that as possible because that's the most protective for land cover that we have for water quality. So the parts of the plan that address that are looking at how do we preserve that landscape? How do we ensure that, you know, the working landscape of the forest is done in accordance with, you know, the management practices that are protective of water quality. And if there are areas that forested areas that can use restoration on old logging roads that are eroding and causing sedimentation and stuff, that's where the plan focuses on that area.
We did the Ottauquechee River Trail, and I wanted to see.
Oh, Jerry, you just muted.
Yeah.
My wife is yelling at our dog for barking. I was hoping we might have some ice jam issues along the Ottauquechee this year that we could look at. I made a stop at the History Center a bunch of years ago, but that wasn't productive of getting any historical information for the trail. I got a nice map of the railroad, but
yeah, that's good. And the last big one was in 1998, the last real serious widespread ice storm that did a lot of damage.
And one of our principal trail people lives right on the river and has experienced it at his own house.
Okay.
In Woodstock.
Are you meaning ice out or ice damage to forests?
Ice damage to riverbank and trails.
Sorry, I thought you meant for ice damage, forested ice damage.
No.
Like ice storm damage.
Riverbank and trails.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm always amazed, like the jam up at the Lincoln Covered Bridge, which we had to call in the big guns for this year, VTrans contractors, how it hurts a lot of the stems, but how so many of them, like they get scun up a little bit, but how so many of them come back. I'm really, because I drive that section of the Ottauquechee before the Lincoln Covered Bridge.
Yeah.
I mean, I've driven it. I drive it every day, multiple times, so I know it. Yeah. And I've walked it, and it's funny, and it's funny how much better it's gotten with the sediment that we didn't take out after Irene. In the places where we didn't take out sediment, we did take out a lot at Bridgewater, but how, like at the Deer Brook Inn, there's new sediment there, and how there's stuff growing on the bars. It's nice. Todd has a question.
Yeah.
Comment. So, good question. The relative impacts of an ice jam event versus a flood or versus our human impacts. Ice jam events are very minimal water quality impacts. With a flood, there's the timing, duration, concentration, frequency. With projects being implemented, the stream alter, I should say, Jerry, I'm sorry. I work in the Vermont Rivers program, one of the river management engineers. In the stream alteration permitting, they've got to minimize the sediment during construction. They can't have a muddy discharge going for 2 months or 2 years. Some of these projects are longer than that. So if it's a short duration, infrequent, low concentration turbidity release, it's much less detrimental impact to aquatic organisms, fish and amphibians, benthic invertebrate, et cetera. So a great question on ice jam impacts. And I hope that that's explanatory, sufficient. We have a rivers and roads training program that we're going to continue next Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday in Milton, Vermont. We're going to have one in Wethersfield. We have 4-year, the other 2 will be in Berlin. 4 road crews, town, VTrans, anybody can attend these. They're free. 2 days, everybody said they're very fun. And we address ice jam impacts. And I just went through our, well, what is it that I have? 15 minutes for that presentation. A great question. And I hope that I've just given you enough of a background that answers the question. If you have another follow-up question, Jerry, please ask.
We also lost a beaver dam in East Barnard, almost to the North Road, but Bowman Road. Quite a bit of road damage, but our brook had quite a bit of sediment, but it cleared up after 3 or 4 days.
So in this Rivers and Roads training program, we have a river scientist, myself as a river management engineer, and fisheries biologist. And there is a beaver dam component to this. And I don't remember how much, I think it's 15 minutes, whatever. The fish and wildlife, other presentations are like the same, 15, 20 minutes. But anyway, so the bottom line with beavers, and you all know this, I'm preaching to the choir here. They were here before we got here with the fur trade in Europe for the felt hats, felt garments, is what eradicated beaver in Europe and why it ended up eradicating beaver in the United States. And then we had I want to say 1928 beaver reintroduction program in Vermont, which had been very successful. So they were here before us. We eradicated them. Then we built all these roads, all these homes and businesses, all these facilities where there would be beaver building dams, flooding us. So once again, we've caused ourselves a problem and we blame it on beavers, or, you know, pick the blame on somebody. We always say, oh, it's somebody else's fault, but it's our fault. I don't know. I'm rambling. I'm sorry, Jerry. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, I think it's important for the road crews to be aware of them, and landowners communicate any potential problems in the near future.
And the state does have, it continues to have the Beaver Baffle program that assists towns with controlling the level of beaver ponds adjacent to roads. So if there's need for that, please let either myself or Todd know, and we can put you in touch with the Fish and Wildlife Department folks who will, you know, help the municipality work with that program to keep the level of the beaver pond from flooding the road.
There's a short, I should say, 2-page managing human conflicts with beaver. And then there's, I think it's 16 pages, Marie. There's a really long one, even longer than that. I can send that to you, Pete, if you'd like, and you can distribute that around.
Sure.
Thank you, Todd.
Marie,
Anything? Whoops, sorry.
no, sorry. I was going to kind of ask a question or make a I don't know what I'm saying, a statement maybe. So as over the past few years, as I've been working on the relicensing of Taft'sville, there's been anecdotal, messages to me basically saying about similarly, like ice dams overflowing and kind of coming up and wrecking the road along the Ottauquechee behind the dam. And so it has not been addressed in the relicensing. It really needed to be something that the town would have commented on, and they haven't engaged. But I wonder, as you're thinking about the basin planning process, how to track that, or is it, if there's a consideration, when you have a dammed area where you have an impoundment like that, where the water is obviously slowing down, dropping sediment, and because it's slower, it's more apt to freeze, right? You're going to have areas of the river freezing at different times, at different rates, different depths. And so especially as we enter climate change, as it like freezes and melts, I don't know, I would be interested in figuring out a way to try to like track that or notice it or document it, monitor over a period of years, especially behind the dams, to see if it's different, than in other areas of the river, right?
Yeah, it's River Road, which is, on the opposite side of the river than Route 4, from Taft'sville Dam to Woodstock. That road gets ice jam chunks on it all the time. I would think that the Woodstock Road crew would know how much they have to address that in any given season. It can happen because I live right around here. It can happen multiple times a year where the ice will have a thaw in January and the water will go out and the ice chunks will be on the road. I would think the town has information on that. I don't know if they track it or not, but that's actually never been brought up to my knowledge. So I hope can you note that, Sue? Just that whole issue on ice jams or ice chunks accessing roads above dams. That's an interesting thought.
And this is, for the ones that are going through relicensing, this is the exact kind of thing where it's a clear impact from the dam. And so when you think about mitigation, from my point of view, Green Mountain Power should be compensating the town or helping to support the town's extra maintenance needs because of that happening, because their dam is there, right? So that should be a mitigation, right? That the town is supported.
Interesting concept.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Unfortunately, I think, like you said, Kathy, with climate change, the freeze and thaw and then the rain on top of it is going to become more prevalent. Towns don't track things unless they have to. It's just another thing for them to do. Even a real town like Woodstock, they just don't keep good records. It's pretty amazing. We help a lot of towns with a simple timesheet program we've developed in Excel, where they actually, write down what material they poured on one day. And it's, a new concept to them. And some of these are pretty big towns like Woodstock. So I think that's something we can do. But again, it backs up behind the Lincoln Covered Bridge. There's a constriction there, but it's a weird bend below the bridge that causes it's always backed up there. And the amount of damage to the road is pretty minimal, but it's real because they have to get their payloaders out there. And it's funny, we got an email from Green Mountain Power saying, if you're doing anything with with ice jams and removal, you have to call us first. After the Lincoln Covered Bridge fiasco. And I was kind of like, well, I didn't put what you said, Kathy. It's your dam. So that's a good point. That's something we should put in the plan. as you know, a potential thing we should address. That's good. Thank you, Jerry.
Also, VTrans is doing the Route 4 corridor study update.
They are.
And the drainage and everything from the Route 4 corridor down to the Ottauquechee is a significant problem. We ran into it along the River Road Trail. One of the problems above the Tassville Dam, there are actually 3 towns that maintain that road. And one of the towns has just a really small section, and that is the section that gets neglected the most. And it's quite low.
It is. And you know, the level of the dam raises the water level, certainly from Tassville west. And that water level is very close to River Road, can be, especially in high water. It's a really good point. And Sue, could you just make a note that VTrans is in the Route 4 corridor planning process? Because that'll be a reminder to me as well. I've met with them on that already, but to make sure I note it in the plan, that would be really good.
Do you have anything else, Jerry?
Anybody have anything else they want to add or talk about?
I did email to you, Pete, the 2 Beaver human conflict PDFs, the short and the long version, to forward to Jerry and anybody else that you want. They're public documents, Fish and Wildlife.
I got them.
Good.
I'm all set, Pete.
Cool. Well, thanks for jumping on. That was, it usually is productive. It was surprisingly productive, which is always good.
Hey, Marie, are you doing an in-person kickoff as well, or no, only virtual kickoff?
Just virtual. We're not required to do in-person for this kind of meeting. If we're having an official public hearing, which is what the end of the process will be, I will have to be some in person, but not at this point in the process. Probably wouldn't have anybody in person either tonight.
No, nope.
Too nice.
I don't think we would have even had Jerry or maybe even me. So nice. Yeah, virtual is has its benefits sometimes.
It does. I keep trying to avoid the sunshine. Well, if there's nothing else, I don't want to keep people on a gorgeous evening. Any last thoughts? Thank you for joining, number one. And thank you, Jerry. You prompted some good conversation there.